Hello, and welcome to this how-to all about how to backbend safely and effectively. Backbends, also called extension, are a fabulous way of improving posture and opening up the spine, especially for spending a lot of time sitting in front of a screen. And they can be a very effective way of increasing bone density and decreasing spinal compression. But we do need to be aware of how we're practicing our backbends in order to be able to reap all the benefits that they can offer while keeping our spine safe. In this how-to, I'm going to be sharing with you what I think are the most important points to be aware of while practicing any back bends. And I'll be guiding you through a few examples of common back bend poses that I hope you'll do with me so that you can feel the technique immediately in your body while I'm explaining it. I'll also be showing you where in the body, in general, we need to focus our attention in order to create balanced flexibility and support. And this is key. Injuries most often occur in back bends or any other exercise when we practice them in an imbalanced way. When we can share the load of the exercise through the whole body, not only is it much safer, but the whole body can reap the benefits. Now, I'm going to be guiding you through different exercises and poses of different levels. And so, as you're doing this with me, I ask that you listen to your body, that you take care of your specific needs, and work at your own pace. There should be a lot of good stuff here for everyone to benefit from. So, let's get started. Okay, and so the first exercise that we're going to practice together is the high lift. And I just love beginning the back bend journey here because we can learn so much about how to extend the spine safely and effectively with this exercise. Now, the spine is divided up into three areas. The neck is our cervical spine. The thoracic spine is where our rib cage is attached, and the lower back is our lumbar spine. Now, with the neck, its tendency is to hyperextend, and we want to avoid that because over time that can create degeneration. Okay, so limit the hyperextension of the neck and instead focus on lengthening the neck, on creating space in between every vertebra. Okay, now with the thoracic spine, the tendency is to hyperflex, to slouch. And so it can be an area of low bone density. And this is where thoracic extension, spinal extension can really be a benefit. And so we want to lengthen the spine. As with the neck, we want to create space in between every vertebra. And then when we're bending back, we want to have the apex of the back bend right in the middle of the thoracic spine at the bottom tips of our shoulder blades, aiming our heart towards the sky and keeping the neck long. Okay, now with the lower back, its tendency, just like the neck, is to hyperextend. And again, over time, that can create degeneration and deterioration. So we want to avoid that by lengthening the tailbone down towards the floor and keeping the low abdominals drawn in, and then directing our attention to the extension through our thoracic spine. Okay, so we're going to start together. We're going to do two different versions. The first version is a little bit safer. If you can have the feet shoulder width apart, start off with the knees a little bit bent, hands to the hips with shoulders and elbows back. And as you breathe in, push into the floor, draw the navel in and the tailbone down, lengthen the spine, and lift the heart towards the sky, aiming your back bend at the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. And then exhaling, coming to center and bending the knees for two more. Inhale, push into the floor, keep the navel in, lengthen the spine, lifting the heart towards the sky, and exhaling, bending the knees and coming to center for one more. Inhaling, navel in, spine lengthened, bending at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades, the neck is long, and exhaling to center. But now you might notice that when you're doing the back bend in this way, that it's much more limited than if you're able to extend through all of the parts of the spine. But I really encourage you to practice in this way because over the long term, it's going to keep your spine safe and it's going to create a more balanced flexibility through the whole spine. So we're not just back bending where it's easy, we're really challenging the places in our body that are more stiff to contribute to the back bend. Okay, so stay with that version, or we'll do a more advanced version if that's appropriate for you, with the feet together, and we'll have the arms added in as well. Either way, the breath and the exercise is very similar. We start off with the knees bent, and as you breathe in, stretch the legs, draw the navel in, tailbone to the floor, lifting the heart towards the sky, keeping the neck long, and exhaling, returning to center, lowering the arms and bending the knees for two more. Breathing in, draw the navel in, lengthen the spine, bending at the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, keeping the neck long, and exhaling, returning to center and bending your knees for one more. Breathing in, pull the navel in, aim the tailbone to the floor, directing your back bend to the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, and exhaling, coming to center and bending your knees. Excellent. And so now we're going to practice back bending from the floor on our stomach. And the principles are all the same, focusing on thoracic extension and limiting cervical and lumbar hyperextension. So I'll get you to come onto your stomach. And for this very first part, you could rest your head into your hands as I guide you through how to stabilize the lower back, which is really important. And so if you can focus on lifting the navel up away from the floor and lengthening your tailbone towards your heels to really lengthen the lower back and limit the amount of hyperextension that it can do. Okay, I don't want you to clench your glutes to make this happen. Try to isolate the low abdominals and just let your glutes and your hamstrings work at about a 50% level rather than 150. Okay, and we're going to do two different versions of extension. The first version is a little safer, and we'll start off in the goalpost arms where you have your hands out at about eye level and elbows are on the floor. And so starting off with the navel up, lengthening your tailbone towards your heels, we're going to inhale to prepare. And as you exhale, drag your shoulders down, pulling back with your elbows and leading out with your heart. Okay, so imagining that you have an eye on your chest and not looking out with your eyes in your head. And then inhaling as you lengthen back down, and we'll do two more. And so exhale as you draw your shoulders down, draw your navel in, leading out with your heart, keeping your elbows on the floor, and inhaling as you lengthen back down. And one more time. Exhaling, draw your shoulders down, draw the navel in, and leading out from your heart, wanting to bend at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. And then inhaling as you lengthen back down. Now stay with that version if you need to be more careful with your back, or for a more advanced version, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and have your shoulders rolled back and the elbows tucked in. And we're going to start the same way where you lift the belly and you lengthen the tailbone, breathing in to prepare. And as you breathe out, slide your shoulders down and lead out with your chest as before. And then you might be able to come up higher here, pressing into your hands. Keep the feeling of dragging forward so you're not pushing down into the floor. You're pulling yourself forward, leading out with your heart, keeping your neck long and the navel pulled in. Breathe in to hold, and then breathing out as you pull yourself forward, pulling back with your shoulders and your elbows. Breathing in to prepare, and we'll do two more. So on your exhale as you come up, let there be no weight in your hands to start. Really do this first part with your upper back. So we're really increasing the bone density at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades, and then press into your hands as you come up higher if you like, if it's safe for you. Breathing into hold, pulling the belly in, pulling the shoulders down, keeping the neck long, and exhaling as you reach out through your chest, shoulders away from the ears, spine lengthened. For one more time. Breathing in to prepare, exhaling with no weight in your hands, using the strength of your mid-back, keeping the navel pulled in, and then if you like, pressing into your hands, pulling your shoulders down, inhaling to hold. Really pull the navel in here to protect your lower back, and breathing out as you drag yourself forward, leading out with the eye on your chest. And relax. Fabulous work. And so now I want to talk about how the flexibility of the hips and the shoulders can either help or hinder our flexibility. And we'll start off with the hips because often the muscles in the front of our hips and our quads are tight from too much sitting or cycling or running. Many things in our life can contribute to hip tightness. And so when we're going into a back bend, we can compensate with our lower back and create compression into the lumbar spine. And instead, we want to be sharing the flexibility through the whole body. And so, if you can do this with me, coming up to standing, holding on to either a chair or a table or a wall beside you, and then we'll start off holding onto the ankle. And now, if this is too much flexion for your knee or you're not able to hold onto your leg, no problem. Wrap a towel or a scarf around your ankle and you can hold on to it from there. Okay, align your hips and toes straight ahead so your inner thighs are slightly hugging in towards each other. And then focus on drawing your navel in towards your spine and lengthening your tailbone down towards the floor and really lengthening through the whole spine. And this might be enough stretch for you. You might be feeling already the extension in the muscles in the front of the hip. And so that's great. Just stay there. If you want to take it further, you press the thigh back, keeping your navel in and keeping the tailbone towards the floor. So you're pressing your ankle into your hand. And then, if you want to take it even further, you lengthen out through the heart. So we're focusing on that thoracic extension again. We're keeping the navel pulled in, protecting the lower back. We're keeping the neck long, focusing on opening up the hips and the heart. Just breathing here for one more breath. And then bring yourself back to center. And you can lengthen that down and we'll go to the other side. And so I wanted to focus on this particular exercise just because so many of us are tight in these muscles in the front of our thighs. Plus, this works our balance. So there's lots of great benefits. And again, it's going to be helping your back bends out. Okay, so you're holding onto your ankle or again, wrapping a towel or scarf around your ankle. Align your hips forward, hug your inner thighs in, and then draw the navel in and lengthen the tailbone down. And just stay here and check out how it feels in the front of the thigh if you can already feel the stretch there. And then if you want to take it further, you're pressing your thigh back, keeping your navel in, keeping the tailbone to the floor. So we're not hyperextending there. You're pressing your ankle into your hand and staying here or leading out with the heart. Okay, keeping the spine long, keeping the neck long, really focusing on lengthening through the whole spine, balancing out the flexibility, encouraging that thoracic spine to open, leading out with the heart. Just taking one more breath here and slowly return back up and relax back down. Wonderful. Now, I'm not going to be guiding you through this posture because it's a little extreme. However, I want to show it as a way of demonstrating that if your shoulders are inflexible and you're trying to push your way into deeper back bends like this, you're going to overcompensate by compressing into your lower back. And so stretching out the shoulder joints and the hip joints here for big poses like these is really important. And so we already stretched out the hips, which is great. And we're going to focus on stretching out the shoulders, particularly by stretching out the lats, the long muscles along the body. And so the shoulder joints are a little bit more delicate. So I want you to make sure you're listening to your body as we do this. And we're going to use the chair again. And if you can come to kneeling, and so just bring anything underneath your knees that you like. And you want to have your hands onto the edge of the chair. Palms face down works, but if you can, have the pinky side of the hand down so that you can really stretch through the line of the lats. And then you want to have your knees right underneath your hips. Okay, we're lengthening the spine out, and then we're sinking the heart down towards the floor. And just breathing here in your comfort zone. Now, if I just relax into the stretch, where I want to collapse is in the lower back, right towards the path of least resistance. And so I need to stabilize the lower back by drawing the navel in so I'm not creating hyperextension there. So we want to create a balanced flexibility, right? So instead, I'm going to have some pressure down into the pinky fingers. So there is some strength through the shoulders. There's some support. We're pulling the shoulder blades wide apart and then just gently sinking the heart towards the floor and just going to where you feel a stretch through the long muscles of the arms and the sides of the body and not feeling pressure into the joint. If you feel pressure in the joint, then it means you're going too far. And just staying and breathing here, just being really specific that we're aiming the heart towards the floor, but we're keeping the navel in and we're keeping the shoulders wide apart with some strength into the pinky side. So again, we're protecting that joint. And just taking one more breath here. And then to come out of that, curl your tailbone underneath you, land your hands, and roll on out. Awesome. So after all of this backbending practice, I invite you to join me in a counter pose, hugging the knees in towards your chest, like I'm showing here, or your favorite forward fold of your choice. Because although I've been trying to guide you to your safest and most effective backbending technique, it is possible that some compression has crept in, particularly through the lower back. And we want to address that right away before we finish our time together. And in general, I do recommend counter poses after any backbending practice. And I also encourage you to check into how your body feels over the next few days, and particularly if you feel any soreness in your neck or your lower back. And if you do, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to not do these poses. It might. But more importantly, I encourage you to back off of the poses, to not do them so deeply, and to focus on the support of the abdominals and on lengthening the spine so you can keep the compression at bay. Okay, so let's just take one more deep breath here together, folding deeply in the hips and spreading out the lower back. Beautiful work. And so I hope that you found all of the information and the exercises that I've shared in this how-to interesting, useful, and informative. And most importantly, I hope that you practice all of these movement principles in your own workouts and really in your daily life. And if you did find this video useful, I invite you to give it a like, to subscribe to my channel, and to share it with those whom you think might benefit. In the description, you'll see a link to the Fully Embodied Fitness Workout Series, where I guide you through a series of full body workouts designed to improve and increase strength, flexibility, balance, posture, coordination, and overall body connection. So if feeling more fully embodied sounds interesting to you, I invite you to check that out. Until the next time, I'm wishing you well. Take good care.